What's up, travel friends? Welcome back. Does this hike look like fun to you? If it does, then keep watching this video. This is the Burro Wash Trail in Capitol Reef National Park in Utah. Capitol Reef National Park is in the middle of Utah, south central, and it's a massive park. There's a lot to do there. Unfortunately, when we visited this park, I only gave us one day here. And this is the hike I wanted to do, so that's what we did. There are a few different slot canyon hikes, but this is the hike that I chose based on the research I did before we visited the park. If we go back, I'll definitely do more of these hikes. The Burro Wash Trail is located more on the south side of the park. The road that takes you to the trailhead is physically outside of the national park boundary, and half of this hike is outside of the park boundary on BLM land. The Burro Wash Trail is 7.6 miles round trip, out and back type of trail. The trail has about 1,000 feet elevation change. While I was doing this hike, I never felt like I was going uphill for a really long time and having a strenuous out of breath moment. My biggest issue with this hike was my claustrophobia, which is an irrational fear of being in confined spaces. As I mentioned, the parking area is outside of the national park on the BLM land. We parked there. It wasn't too crowded. We only saw a few other people on this trail while we hiked it. I will leave coordinates to this parking area in the description below the video. Once we parked there, we knew we were at the right spot because we saw a little trailhead sign for Burro Wash. So we started hiking, and the first part of this hike is relatively easy. You're on a sandy path, basically just following the wash basin where it winds around a little bit. There are some cairns set up by other hikers that kind of cut through, and there's a shortcut path to make the hike a little bit less long. But this first part of the hike is relatively easy. You're just in a desert environment. There's not a lot of elevation change. You start to get more towards these mountains and rock outcroppings, and you start to enter the national park. After a couple miles of hiking, there's a fence there. You just need to close up that little fence before and after you leave your hike. And once you get into the national park boundary, that's where things start to get more exciting with the slot canyons. As you can see in the topo map, the depth of this canyon gets deeper and the walls get more narrow as you keep going with this hike. This is a strenuous hike, but maybe not in the way you would expect. This hike requires upper body strength. As you can see, there are some massive boulders that you need to be able to climb up to get to the next section of the hike. There are some slippery sections of the sandstone where there's bits of sand on it, so you should have great traction on your footwear as well.
I need a hand. Put your hands on the side.
Okay, I gotcha.
Up and down.
And also, please use your best judgment on entering the slot canyon section of this hike. When things get really narrow, you only have 2 feet or less on both sides of you. I'm broad-shouldered, I'm 5'7" and 160 pounds, and I had to move my body sideways to wiggle through some of these slot canyons. So if that helps put things into perspective for you, just use your best judgment with your own physical abilities and make sure you can actually fit through these slot canyons. This is really far out from the main part of the park. You do not want to get stuck in the slot canyon. Another thing to think about before you do this hike is the weather. Because this is such a narrow slot canyon, I can imagine flash flooding being a major concern. So check on the weather to make sure there's no severe storms anywhere in the area before you do this hike. I was looking forward to this hike so much because I love adventurous, strenuous hikes. And I had to pause for a minute, and I had a little mental breakdown inside. and I told myself that it's gonna be okay. There's one section where the walls are shoulder to shoulder, about 20 feet up.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Stoof. I'm claustrophobic, and I don't like this.
And you look up and you know that you can't really climb up there, and you just, I don't know, I felt a little trapped. Even though I could still move and continue going forward, it was a mental thing for me, and it was really scary. But I pushed through it, and once I got through that little section, the rest of it wasn't scary for me. After I made it through that first scary bit, it was okay. Finally, we made it to the end of the slot canyon. This ending is pretty obvious. The only way you could continue from this point is if you had some climbing gear on you. We just wanted to do a hike here, so we stopped, we turned around, we stood there for a moment at the end of the trail. It's a really peaceful little spot where the sun just kind of filters down into this opening in the canyon, and then you just turn around and start to head back the way you came. One of the nice things about this trail is on the way out, when you're hiking towards the end of the trail, you are excited for the slot canyons, so that's a lot of fun. And then on the hike back, now you have views of these gorgeous mountains once you get out of the park boundary. We really enjoyed this hike. There is a lot to see. It's thrilling. For me, it was extra thrilling. And it also offered some amazing views. From a wildlife standpoint, we saw birds and lizards. That's about it. We visited this park and did this hike on a mid-spring morning. It was pretty mild from a temperature standpoint. If you do this hike in late spring or summer or early fall, I'll bet it gets very hot here, so make sure you pack plenty of water. Having our backpacks with us on this trail was a little bit annoying when you're going through the slot canyons. They kind of hit back and forth on things. So if you have a smaller pack, I would recommend that. Just make sure you still have your emergency gear, some sunscreen, water, first aid, stuff like that, so that you are okay in case something happens to you, because this trail is kind of out and away from the main part of the park. If you guys have hiked this trail in the past and you want to let us know about your experience, leave a comment below this video so other people can read about it. And if you have any questions about this trail, you can leave a comment as well, and I will try to answer that as well as I can. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Happy hiking and happy traveling. Bye-bye.